Chapter 5 Shadows and Skepticism. The morning of the fifth day was crisp, the air carrying a hint of the planet's unique tang. Mira Chen felt the weight of her experience from the previous day like a stone in her stomach. She knew she couldn't keep it to herself any longer. After the morning briefing, she approached Commander Alara Vance, who was overseeing the construction of a new communication array.
Commander, can we talk?
Mira asked, her voice steady but her eyes betraying a hint of the turmoil within. Alara glanced at her, her expression serious.
Of course, Mira. What's on your mind?
Taking a deep breath, Mira spoke.
Yesterday, when I was at the water purification plant, I saw my brother Kai. He spoke to me, through his reflection in the water.
Alara's eyebrows lifted, skepticism clear in her eyes.
Kai? Mira, I understand you've been under a lot of stress, but...
I know how it sounds, Commander.
Mira interjected, her voice firm.
But it was more than stress. He was there, clear as day, talking to me. He told me to keep building, to look forward.
Alara studied Mira, her gaze searching for signs of fatigue or strain.
Mira, you know how important clarity is in our situation. Hallucinations, visions, they're not uncommon under stress, especially with what we've all been through.
I'm not saying it's not possible.
Mira conceded.
But this felt different. It wasn't just in my head. It was like he was really there.
Alara nodded slowly, her mind working through the implications.
We need to ensure you're okay. I think it's best if you talk to Dr. Lee. We can't afford to overlook anything that might compromise our mission or your health.
Mira agreed, though a part of her felt defensive.
I understand. I needed to report it.
The two walked to the medical tent where Dr. Samuel Lee was organizing his daily checkups. Alara explained the situation succinctly, her tone neutral. Dr. Lee looked at Mira with concern.
Mira, we've all been through a lot. Sometimes our minds can play tricks on us, especially in such an unprecedented environment. Have you felt any other symptoms? Headaches, dizziness?
No, nothing else.
Mira replied, her frustration mingled with worry.
It was just this one moment.
We'll run some tests,
Dr. Lee decided, motioning for her to sit.
We need to rule out any physical causes, dehydration, or perhaps something in the environment. And from a psychological standpoint, we'll need to monitor you. Sometimes, grief can manifest in ways we don't expect, especially here.
Mira sat for the tests, her mind replaying the encounter with Kai. She knew how it sounded, like a mind under stress, but the experience felt too real, too vivid to be dismissed as mere hallucination. After the physical examination, Dr. Lee spoke, his voice gentle yet firm.
Your physical health seems fine, but we need to take this seriously. I want you to come back for some more in-depth psychological evaluations over the next few days. We'll keep this under observation, Mira.
Alara, who had been standing by, added,
And Mira, if you see anything else, or if anything like this happens again, you report it immediately. We're in this together, but we need to understand what's happening. If there's something about this planet we don't know, we need to find out.
Mira nodded, feeling both cared for and scrutinized. She left the tent with a promise to return for further evaluation, her mind a whirl of doubt, hope, and the lingering echo of her brother's voice urging her forward. As she walked back to her duties, she couldn't shake the feeling that there was more to New Dawn than they had yet to understand, and she was at the center of it. Just then, a piercing scream cut through the morning air, a sound of terror that stopped Mira in her tracks. It came from the direction of the geological survey site where Nia Patel was working. The scream was a stark reminder that whatever was happening on New Dawn, they were all part of it, and the mysteries of this planet were just beginning to unfold. The scream echoed through the camp, a chilling reminder of their vulnerability. As Mira rushed towards the source of the sound, her heart pounded in her chest. The sight that greeted her was horrifying. Nia lay on the ground, a deep gash across her side, blood staining the alien soil. A sense of dread washed over Mira as she rushed to Nia's side.
Someone call Dr. Lee!
She shouted. As she knelt beside Nia, she couldn't help but feel a sense of déjà vu. The way Nia lay there, unconscious and bleeding, reminded her of a scene from a nightmare. A nightmare where she had seen her brother Kai, lying lifeless, his body twisted and broken.
Nia, can you hear me?
Mira asked, her voice trembling. Nia's eyes fluttered open and she looked at Mira with a look of terror.
It was him.
She whispered, her voice barely audible.
He's back.
Mira's heart sank.
Who? Who's back?
Nia's eyes widened and she tried to speak, but no sound came out. She was struggling to breathe, her face pale and clammy. Just then, Dr. Lee arrived, his face etched with concern.
We need to stabilize her here before we move her,
he commanded, his hands already at work applying pressure to the wound.
This is bad. We can't treat this here. We need the Pioneer Dreams medical bay.
He quickly assessed Nia's injuries and ordered her to be transported to the medical bay on the Pioneer's Dream. As Mira watched the medical team load Nia onto the shuttle, she couldn't shake the feeling that something sinister was at work. The attack on Nia wasn't a random act of violence. It was a deliberate act, a message. But what was that message? And who or what was sending it? Mira Chen, still reeling from her own mysterious experience, felt a cold dread settle in her stomach. The reality of Nia's injury seemed to validate her earlier vision. Was there something malevolent about this planet? As the shuttle ascended, leaving the violet sky behind for the darkness of space, the mood inside was somber. Dr. Lee worked tirelessly, his focus solely on Nia, whose breathing was shallow but steady. The medical bay on the Pioneer's Dream was a stark contrast to the makeshift facilities on New Dawn, equipped with advanced technology that could offer Nia a chance at survival.